Hey guys, welcome back, Bushcraft Family, with another video. And today, it's a interesting video, I should say. How to spot federal snitches, so to be, in your groups. Now, there's many ways of looking at this as groups. It could be just a group that's on YouTube, really. And then somebody new coming into the group, asking questions and whatnot, and, But before we get into all that, why would the feds even care about preppers? Honestly, it's just people storing food, right? I guess it goes against somebody's plan, so to speak. Most preppers are just people who want to be ready for natural disasters, economic downfalls, or the grid failure, or something like that. There's nothing illegal about storing food, is there? It depends who you ask. Learning first aid or practicing self-reliance. But federal agencies don't always see it that way. Since early 2000, multiple departments of Homeland Security reports have lumped survivalists in with domestic extremists. I think I can get away with that one. Or extremist movements. Yeah, that's better. Whether that classifies as fair or not doesn't really matter for the purpose of this video. What matters is that it puts prepper groups on the radar, so to speak. Allegedly. We have to start using that word again. And that means information or informants sometimes get placed in these groups. And it could be, like I said, YouTube groups. It could be Facebook groups. It doesn't have to be, like a mag or anything, but you still need to pay attention to those things. It could just be somebody asking questions and suggesting things. Let me put some examples. Let's put some of the examples. And I've got some here on the screen that I remembered right away. There is a place called, now read between the lines, Rudy Ridge. Happened in 1992. Randy Weaver was a survivalist living off the grid in a cabin he had built in the middle of nowhere, in Idaho. He had legal problems that started when an ATF informant pressured him into sawing off the ends of his shotguns. And they tried to use that to make him an informant, and he didn't want to do that. So I'm not going to go into any more details, but we know how that turned out. And it's one of ATF's and FBI's big blunders. They've had a lot of them, but this is one of them. And let me find the other one. This one is, it can be twisted to seem bad, which it is. There was a group, and they call it a Christian Survival Group in Michigan. This is 2010. Believe that they were preparing for the end of times. The FBI infiltrated the group with an informant or whatever you want to call him, undercover person, who got in by claiming he knew how to build boom booms and stuff, then took over part of the group's operation. I mean, he was like way up there in the top people, and steered them toward their goal. And I'm not going to go in details what they were doing, but 2010, you guys can look it up and everything. But they try to manipulate you into doing things that are not lawful. And then they can get you and let's, tear the group up from within type of thing. Where was this other one? We won't do that one. Where's the other one I was trying to look for? And this is in Michigan again. This is 2020. The case made national news. FBI announced the arrest of 13 men accused of plotting to kidnap Michigan governor, lady Whitmire or whatever her name was. The group had strong survival training. They were into tactical maneuvers and all that stuff. But the FBI had an informant, Dan Chappell, I think that's where it is. Yeah, he rose to become the group's second in command. He taught tactical skills from his Army background and provided a government-funded credit card that bought all their supplies, so to speak, to do this job. Now, do you really think that's fair? Honestly. Now, there are tons more of these that you just dig into and find out how they found out that these groups, and 90% of the time they had informants in this group. And it's one thing to be an informant, but it's another thing for them to try to manipulate you to do the bad things. And you can say what the reasoning behind it is, to make a bad name for preppers or those type of people. And there are many types of different informants. We'll put that one. The planted agent. This is an actual federal employee whose job is to infiltrate your group. They tend to be more disciplined and harder to spot because they're actually trained to do this. That's their job. They learn this, the skill. And they have solid covers. Their history has been changed for that person. And they actually, when they're undercover, they become that person. And the second type would be a confidential informant. And this is called a CI, a person who is not technically a federal employee. And there's different ones of these. Confident informant, it could be somebody that's trying to get out of trouble themselves, or there's money involved. The third type is an unwitting informant. This is somebody who doesn't even know they're being used. Maybe they talk too much. You get a couple drinks in them and they spill everything out. or, they post stuff on social media, um, stuff like that. And other people pick it up, other groups pick it up, and there you go. Now, red flags that you need to pay attention to, that, they keep pushing toward illegal territory. And territory is a good word because it's not like an area. Well, it is an area, but not a physical area. It could be, just saw this off a little bit more and you'll be good, a little bit shorter, we can store this here. Nobody will know, things like that. It's not illegal unless you get caught, things like that, trying to push you in a different, where you weren't already going type of thing. The preppers, we just want to be prepared for whatever happens, We don't want to push ourselves to do the bad stuff. Another one is you start getting to know this person and wait a minute, that contradicts what you just said. You have holes in your story, so to speak. Their cover stories are built to survive a first impression, not 6 months, even though they do, but enough talk about your life and stuff, things start to blend together. And it's like they say on a lot of these things, if people start asking questions about your life and stuff, tell them your stories, but change the places and the names. That way it sounds more believable. Another big one is money doesn't add up. Yeah, they come up with this money and what? A guy says he's between jobs, but he shows up in fresh gear, fresh boots. Always pay attention to the footwear. That's all I'm saying. And never flinches at group expenses. Like, wow, that really, this cost that much, if it's no big deal to them, that means somebody else is paying. The FBI paid one California group information around $30,000 over 6 months or so, I believe. Mostly for travels and other expenses, but where's this come from? If you're not working, you have all this money, you're driving around in a fancy car, or you have brand new this or brand new that, new phone, it doesn't quite add up, does it? Another one, they want operational details before they've earned their spot, so to say. Someone who's been around for 2 weeks and already wants to know, hey, where's all your ammo? Where is your equipment? Where do you hide your food? That could be a ding, 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 that could be one of them flags. Next one is they stir up conflict between members. When other members are bickering and stuff, nobody's paying attention to the informant, allegedly. And And when there's big arguments going on, anger lets things slip. So if you all of a sudden have somebody that likes to get the drama going and whatnot, might be the issue. Next one, they want to record everything. You know, it could just be a mental labeling on what's going on, or it could be, you know, recording, or it could be jotting things down. That's a major flag. And okay, now that we've went over the red flags, so to speak, and there's probably tons more. And that'd be good in the comments, you know, posting what you would think red flags would be in these situations. Now, how to protect yourself. And I'm not an expert on this, but these are just things that I've compiled together to kind of help out a little bit, I guess. Watch how fast people push for details. Anyone who wants to know where you store supplies and how much you have, or how your setup works, so to speak. And this doesn't have to be, you know, a federal agency. This could be just somebody wanting information. So if something bad happens, they know where all the cookies are buried, so to speak. So with these, that would be times to somebody like that it would be time to cut ties with that person and say, I'm just not interested in getting into any more of this prepping thing. I think I'll move along, you know. Pay attention to conversations that drift toward illegal topics. If somebody keeps steering you to that discussion, tell them you're not interested. You're a law-abiding citizen, and you would never dip to be that kind of person. Look for inconsistencies in their stories. You know, if you're talking to somebody and one time they talk about living in the North, and then the next time say, yeah, when I was a kid, I was here, and wait a minute, didn't you tell me you were over here? Yeah, might just stay leery for that person, you know. Limit what gets written on or recorded, so to speak. If somebody is sitting there taking pictures of this and that, let me see this. Let me make a video so I know how to do this. You know, that's being recorded. Nope. Or they want to talk to you. They want to call you or FaceTime you or something like that. When, wait a minute, we didn't do that before. I'm not going to talk about details, you know, on the phone. And the biggest thing to protect yourself, keep things to yourself. Don't volunteer any information at all. You know, I may, you know, tell you guys about this or that, or about prepping this and prepping that, but I don't go and show you what I have or where it's at. I've never said, oh, I keep it over here. I keep it all in one room over here. You know, I keep my bug out bag, and it has certain things in it. I show stuff that's in my bug out bag, but a lot of stuff I take out of that bug out bag that people don't need to know, just the way it is. So hopefully you guys find this interesting or helpful or something, you know. And when you say the government or government agencies are not interested in people who put food back, history says different. Um, just do some Google searches. Google will tell you. Anyways, I'm gonna let you guys go. Like always, God bless.